Good morning and welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus, to another analysis and breakdown of the Quran of the Muslims. As you can tell, we're not going to have a usual reading of the verses and breaking those down, and I'll tell you why that is. It's just such an oppressive, violent, horrible book to have to read through, and I've done nothing for the last month but read this for like 5-6 hours a day. Then I've spent 2-3 hours editing videos and then re-editing them. Sometimes I've had to reshoot things. So the entire day, every single day for a month, has been taken up with this book. And the net result has been, although I have made a lot of content, I've done 50 episodes, and I've got to say a great big warm thank you to absolutely everyone who's watched an episode or laid a comment down, liked or done anything, shared it. It's been absolutely fantastic to see that level of support for such work that I am doing. Considering I've been shadow banned the whole time as well, so it's not like it's been easy to find my videos. You can't search for them. Nobody's going to get a thumbnail, you get a notification if you're a subscriber, that's it. But the net result for me, as a human being, has been, I'm just drained from it, I'm just worn out from reading this thing. It's not, it really makes you appreciate how good the Gospels and even the Old Testament are as a general book to read. Reading this thing is like, honestly, it's like whacking your own toe with a hammer. It's so difficult to get through it. Each bit is painful and it's slow. It's difficult to understand. It's not even in my language for a start. So I'm translating it, then I'm interpreting it, then I'm comparing it to other people's interpretations. Then I'm correcting it based on other versions of the Quran to make sure I get it right. I don't want to mislead anyone. If it's got good things in there, I want you to see that it's got good things in there. But it just hasn't. It's just the fact of it. It has not got anything good in that book whatsoever. And so what I wanted to do is say to you, I think for the next few episodes, rather than reading verses, we should really be thinking about why people take this book to heart so seriously. Why do Muslims think this is the word of God? When the only evidence is God saying in his own book, this is the proof of this book. It's a bit like, it's a logical fallacy, if you like. It's like when he said to his insurgents, go and invade Israel, who are a much tougher, bigger, stronger enemy than you, who will probably wipe you out without divine intervention. And his Muslims were like, okay, well, we need some kind of proof that this is going to happen. And God said, oh yeah, I've given you this relic, this Ark of the Covenant, so that will prove to you that you have divine providence to win this battle with Israel. The only problem is, oh insurgents, it's in there, so you have to win the battle first to get the relic that's going to prove you can win the battle. And that's just Allah all over. That's exactly what he does. And I feel like my subjective personal opinion is Muslims who read this book, they try and emulate out, they try to pull out and abstract out the characteristics and the persona of Allah, who they worship, and they become that persona themselves. It's almost like their free will and their own unique personality just goes in the fucking bin, and they turn into Allah clones. So my experience of reading this book over the last month, and having all you guys listen to me and put your comments down, your comments are the only things that have kept me sane. Having that lifeline to normal, regular, non-violent people speaking to you in the comments, that's literally been the only thing that's kept me going. And since the protest the other day, I had a huge wave of people. I must have spent a whole day going through comments, half really nice and half really evil, Muslims slagging me off. I just feel worn out from it now, so I think I need a rest. I think you guys probably want a rest from it. So yeah, I just wanted to think about it in terms of an actual book, right? If you weren't religious at all, you just wanted to buy a book for your child or your wife or something like that, or yourself just to read, why would you ever buy this book? If you weren't absolutely attached to this idea that Allah was commanding you through this book, I don't think there's any reason why you'd ever read this. It's not a good story. It's not an enjoyable read. There's nothing to be learned from here. There's nothing that's going to inspire you in here. There's nothing that's going to make a creative thought pop out of your head having read this book. It just isn't. And that's a fact. And the reason is because this book is the narrative story of a character called Allah. It's not about you or me or life or this planet. It's not even about Muslims. This book is the narrative life story of Allah and how he commands people and how he punishes other people. This is how Allah attacks his enemies using his Muslims. In fact, one of the things that I noticed very early on, and it's just repeated throughout the book, I don't think it's ever going to change right up until the end. Allah never does his own dirty work. Right at the beginning, he has his angel speaking to Adam. Then he has Adam building his religion. Then he has Moses doing his sacrifice. You know, he gives Moses instructions. Then he goes back to his Muslims and says, Moses is sinful, we need to go and kill the Jews. He never actually does any of the murdering himself. He always inspires hate and murder in his worshippers. And it just seems to me like every poor bastard who follows the advice of this guy, they end up in sin or dead, without fail. And it's just a massive contrast to the Bible. The reading the Bible, after having this for a month and nothing but this, every single day, hours and hours of it, living, breathing and sleeping nothing but Quran and making videos, I picked up the Bible earlier today and just had a little quick, just a random page and started reading it, and my heart started to fill up and I started to feel like, oh, thank God for the Bible. Like, I never used to be that bothered about it. But after you've had nothing but this thing, going back to a well-written, historically accurate, hopeful, optimistic story about a good, compassionate God who loves me and is trying to give me good advice, just made me feel so much better. And I just feel like Muslims don't even understand that. They miss out on that because this book isn't for them. This book is for Allah, and they are the servants of Allah, and this is their command book. So I think in future, the approach that I'm going to have to take, and what I've noticed, I don't know, you might be able to tell me if this is accurate or not, but I feel like the more videos that I have made about the Quran of the Muslims, you know, the more I've read into it and had to interpret it, my eyebrows have started to arch down a bit. I've started to be a little bit more angry and a little bit more sarky. And I feel like maybe my neutrality has been affected. I'm now an opponent of this book. Even though it's just a book, it's literally just pieces of paper. Because I've been reading it so thoroughly and trying to understand why Allah has written this in this way, what he's trying to say to me, it literally makes my heart angry to have read that. And I just feel like that's what Muslims go through every single day. And they don't have the Bible. They don't have Christ's love there to help them to recover from that. And I really do feel like this book is a large part of the reason why Muslims in Britain are suffering the highest incidence of mental health, you know, problems, the highest incidence of depression, anxiety, rage, violent crimes. Even though we are not allowed to discuss this openly, we are not allowed to see the official figures. I know, I've spoken to people who have been in prison, and they say to me, a large proportion of the prison majority is Pakistani Muslims. It just is. Now, I'm going to get criticised for having said that. I know I am. But it's the truth. It's like you can't criticise the truth. If you want to be able to make good decisions in your life, you need a platform of truth in order to springboard off to make those good decisions. And the reason you want to make those good decisions is to safeguard your future, to make good decisions for yourself, and to make sure you block out the opportunity for other people to take you down or wreck your life or steal from you or for you to falter. And that's another reason why the Bible is so useful to me. It's like, the way I look at it, right? God, Christ, all that kind of stuff, Judaism, Christianity, we are created as free creatures. We're not created as slaves. God does not enslave us. The moment we're born, God doesn't say to our parents, right, make this a worshipper, make this child a worshipper, and we're not brainwashed day after day after day at the threat of punishment, death, and even grave torture beyond the death. You know, being tortured forever after you die is a pretty heavy penalty just because you weren't worshipping someone. But God is nothing like that. God isn't going to go, I am God, you know, but appear in a cloud behind you and grab the back of your neck and make you do what he wants. That's not God at all. God's not going to appear to you at all unless you specifically ask him personally to do that. He's quite happy for you to just waddle off and use your free will. And so that's how I see the Bible and the Gospels, actually. The Gospels and the Bible are your guidebook, companion to free will. There's no point having one thing without the other. So the Bible gives you the boundary area of what's good behaviour and what's bad. You know, what you should aspire to and what you should avoid. And your free will is the gift that God gives you to explore those regions. You know, you can go in and out of the borders, you can trespass on the bad bit, or you can stay right in the safe bit. It's up to you. And the reason God gives you that free will with the guidebook of the Bible is so that you can develop and grow as a person, so that at the end of your life you are something worthwhile, and that God will have you in heaven. You won't just be a pointless human. By that point, you will have had the life experience. You know, you would have gone through pain and joy, and you'll be a complete human being. You'll have something interesting to say when you meet Christ at the pearly gates. That's what the whole point of it is. It's not to make you a servant, you know. Even though I say I'm a servant of Christ's mission, that's my choice. Christ has never forced me to do that. He's never even suggested it to me. I was driven to that, and I suggested myself to do that. And I'm absolutely happy to do that for the rest of my days, by choice. And I can leave anytime I want, but these poor Muslims, they don't get that opportunity. They don't have that choice. And in conclusion, the reason they don't have that choice is because this book, the Quran of the Muslims, rather than being a guidebook for their free will like the Bible is, like the Gospels are, this is not a guidebook for free will. This is a cage for your mind to ensure that you stay strictly within the confined boundaries of Allah's commands, and that you don't even think about doing or seeing or saying or having anything that Allah doesn't expressly want you to have, do, say, think or see. And that's it. The end of free will starts with this book, because as soon as it's not up to you to make your own decisions, as soon as you're not allowed to choose what you say, see, think, do, or where you go, who you're going to be with, you're nothing more than a slave. And that's what this book is. This book is slavery. This book is a willing slavery. Once you pick this up and start reading it, and you accept that it is the word of a creator God who is angry with you from the start and will kill you and torture you beyond death if you do not obey him and give all your money to him, there's no way out of it. And he will definitely attack you on the way out. There's no avoiding that. That's why a lot of Muslims won't leave. They know if Allah is real and Allah is Satan, when you're running away from him, he's going to attack you and you will be injured. And I think Muslims truly believe this. They know if they try and escape the religion, Allah is going to set other Muslims upon them. That's how he works. He threatens, he curses, and he lies. But the claws of Allah are his Muslims. And they know that. You know, like Lubna. I bet she's terrified. She can't leave. Did you notice before she came out and said she was going to leave Islam, the old videos that she used to make were really good. They were kind of lucid, generically, well, not generic, but not scripted. Now, I don't feel like that. I feel like the day that she said she was leaving Islam, the very next day, all those old videos were deleted, and every new video that's come out is just like apologetics for Islam. She's just an Islam puppet now. But I don't think that's her choice. I can see when she's making her new videos, there's no passion in there. She doesn't care. She's just saying what she's told to say. Trying to be nice about the fact that she wants to have free will, but she does not. And it's all because of this. So Muslims are a slave to this, but more than that, practically in their lives, they are a slave to the violence offered by other Muslims. And that is the reason why in this country, in Britain, we absolutely cannot accept Islamism at all. We cannot allow Sharia or Quran worship to become a majority way of life, because it's not compatible with peace or freedom or democracy or individuality or free choice. It's just not. And that's the end of this video. So I hope you enjoyed that. Later on, 4:15, we'll be doing some more work on this, thought work, not reading through verses, and then the next day after that, we'll be getting back to the drudgery of breaking it down verse by verse into factual, logical statements so we can understand who or what is Allah, and what does his Quran of the Muslims mean for you and I and the rest of the non-believers in the world, and more importantly, what can we do about it with our free will, with our free choice. And that's the end of this video, so I hope you enjoyed that. God bless, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now. Woo! Mind control! Come back at 4:15 and we'll go through some more ethics and morality and optimistic messages of the Quran of the Muslims. So until then, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.